people in their 20s and 30s, for someone who's in that age bracket, how do they start financial planning in India?
It's a very brilliant question. See, what happens is that's a necessity of the hour because people at 20 and 30. 20 is when people generally get into their employment or
Right.
entrepreneurship. So the more you learn about money, the faster you learn about money, it's good.
How does one determine the risk profile while setting financial goals?
Because risk is something which is very important when it comes to financial planning. Because there are different types of risk that might come across your way.
What role does environmental, social governance, ESG standards play in investment selection today?
Brilliant question again, because ESG is catching up big time in India now. Although CFA Institute has been speaking about this, and in global arenas, I think we've been hearing more about ESG standards.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Green Generation podcast. I am Shruti Seetharaman and today I am joined by Mr. Raghavendra Subramanian, who is the Executive Partner and Senior Vice President of Centrum Wealth. Welcome to the conversation. He's also been a financial services professional in the business of building trust, enhancing client experience, and building long-lasting relationships with more than 2 decades of rich experience across corporate banking, private banking, life insurance, general insurance, risk management, and asset management businesses. He's a constant innovator of new ideas with a continuous quest for learning, with an excellent long-standing relationship with large corporates, family offices, and demonstrating history of sustained business success. So I'm diving right into the questions. So what I want to ask you is, what are the most common financial mistakes Indians are making when starting their wealth journey?
Thanks, Shruti, for having me in. Now getting to your question. First of all, let me say that we Indians should be very proud because we are one of the highest saving nations. So savings is in our DNA. But having said that, what are the mistake that we look at it is we Indians start thinking about planning or budgeting only when we get our first paycheck. Until then, the financial literacy is something which we need to really work upon. We miss out on the eighth wonder of the world, which is compounding. So when you don't capitalize it on the initial days, we end up actually losing a lot of opportunities and also the power of compounding.
Yeah. No, I think it's also something that, I'm starting to understand when you say financial literacy, because a lot of us, like you said, understand saving money, but we don't understand how to invest it, put in. You do involve the family in the whole process, I think is a big bonus and plus for the rest of the people involved in the decision-making process. So that's great to know. Another thing is, what I want to ask you is about people in their 20s and 30s. For someone who's in that age bracket, how do they start financial planning?
It's a very brilliant question. See, what happens is that's a necessity of the hour because people at 20 and 30. 20 is when people generally get into their employment or
Right.
entrepreneurship. So the more you learn about money, the faster you learn about money, it's good. Because you have a long way for you to build wealth. So for them, first, what they should do is they should know what are the goals, short-term, medium-term and long-term goals which they have to achieve in life, because you should know where you should go, what is the destination. That's very important. Then the second thing which they should do is they should plan for the contingency fund, because the one thing which is certain is uncertainty. So we don't know when it's going to knock your door. So keep your at least 6 months of your expense, keep it in a contingency fund. And third, start, because at 20 to 30 probably, yes, people would have got into some liabilities. At 20, I don't think people will have any liabilities. So they can start with some small systematic investment plans, investments into stocks or into mutual funds. That could start the journey.
Okay, interesting. Start small. I think these are all tips even for me, considering I'm in that age bracket, to try and understand and ensure, I think, financial independence in the real sense, not just in terms of earning your own money, but realizing how to protect it, how to make or invest And like you said, there's so many right now. I think it's the world for entrepreneurs, which we've been talking about in every episode of the podcast, right? When we're discussing it, because it truly is a space where everyone wants to work for themselves. Everyone wants to create or start their own businesses. They want to have their own kind of work-life balance, and to understand how to manage your money in that aspect. I think it's great to start small. So now we have tips at how you can start with understanding financial planning in your 20s and 30s. So, how does one determine the risk profile while setting financial goals?
Risk is something which is very important when it comes to financial planning, because there are different types of risk that might you've come across your way. So first, basically take help from professionals who are qualified, who are equipped enough to understand your requirement and advise you on the options, investment options available, along with the risk which is associated with them. Because as an investor, it could be a very first time experience, but for a professional who's been handling investments for long, who's been in the markets for a long time, they'll be in a very comfortable position to navigate the entire risk process for you. So they will probably try and handhold you during those tough times. There are certain situations where there are some uncontrollable risk, like your market risk and all of that. So those times, I think it's your patience and it's your guidance which will help you navigate through those tough times. And in case if you take a knee-jerk reaction and take an investment call of exiting the investments, then your notional risk might actually become your actual risk. And that will leave a very long-lasting impact on you. And we have lost so many such investors who have not got back to the markets at all. So that's a big risk that we run. And second, put a process. The process is about financial planning.
Okay. And considering you spoke about the uncertainties and risk, is it also important to keep revisiting financial plans often? And if that's the case, then why is it that important?
Okay, let me just take a step back and tell you about what financial planning is all about. Like, I think all of us, people in finance, will definitely know how minutely we curate the balance sheets of companies. So that, like, first for an enterprise or a company, what we do is first we try and understand what are the liabilities which the company has, and against which what are the assets which the company has procured. So if your liability is more than your assets, then your net worth is negative. So similar thing is like for an individual. If the individual's liability is going to be more, then the need for a proper risk plan is very, very important. Because first you'll have to cover your liabilities. So that is one. And second, then comes for a company, we do something called as a cash flow statement. The same thing is applicable even for individuals. An enterprise or an individual is more or less the same. So for the individuals, first let's look at what are the source of incomes, against which what are the expenses that we carry. And hopefully it should become a habit for you to ensure that you first save and then spend. It should not be the other way around. Often we do the other way around because of peer influence. And just to add on, you take even the biggest of the wealthy people in the world. Let us look at Warren Buffett or an asset manager like Peter Lynch. They say only two things about investing. One, stay invested for long. And second, which is like, be patient with your investments.
Sounds like life lessons, but seems like those are what are important, right? That you need. So these are great tips, I think, for everyone to sort of understand in terms of financial planning. So thanks for breaking it down so clearly. Another thing I want to ask you is, what role does environmental, social governance, ESG standards play in investment selection today?
Brilliant question again, because ESG is catching up big time in India now. Although CFA Institute has been speaking about this, and in global arenas, I think we've been hearing more about ESG standards. I think yes, in India, thankfully, I think it's starting to pick up. I see a lot of youngsters very conscious about ESG standards, sustainability. So these are the golden words which are to be followed. I think there's been a lot of support from the regulator also. We've been launching, like most of the listed companies, they are supposed to disclose their ESG framework. And the mutual fund vehicle has also started launching a lot of these ESG compliant funds. As citizens of this country, I think it's a moral responsibility for us to ensure that we leave a better society back for the next generation.
have sustainability that is important in all aspects of life, which is why we have this podcast, but also why we have people like you come and join us so that you can, create that education and awareness. So thank you for that. But are there also government policies that are supporting sustainable investments in India?
Yes, there's been a lot of thrust from the government side now. So that's why I said the regulator, SEBI, actually has has launched a framework for the listed companies to disclose their ESG governance framework standards. And they've also been emphasizing on a lot of these asset management companies to launch schemes related to ESG compliance. So I think there is a lot of thrust from the government side. It's just time for people to align and take things forward. We are in the right direction.
Well, that is good to know that there is, support and backup as well. So what are alternative investment options and who should be considering them today?
Okay, good. So this opens a large arena of options available, not only in India. Probably India, yes, we have traditional asset classes like we have your physical assets and we have our financial assets. We have your equity, capital markets, mutual funds. Then we have debt. Under debt, we have bonds. We have FDs. These are our traditional asset classes. Then, other than this, we have the alternate investment funds, which is classified into Cat 1, Cat 2, and Cat 3, which covers unlisted space, which also covers REITs. So there are multiple options that are available now for the investors to choose upon. Other than this, we have the global funds. We have the cryptos. So only thing is like there are a lot of options. You should be prudent enough to understand what suits your requirement.
Absolutely.
And choose them wisely.
No, I think that's a really, really good sound advice because, like you said, with the plethora of options available, what's important is education and awareness about which one's right for you. But like you said, you've broken it down a little bit for us, and there's support and understanding and systems that help you with financial planning. So none of you have an excuse not to get started on the journey. But moving into mindset and wealth habits, because we want to initiate and create that, what is the most important mindset shift for successful wealth creation?
Okay. First and the most important lesson is creating wealth is a journey. It's not a one-time exercise. And there's nothing called as quick money.
Right.
It comes with a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So the shift which people should have in mind is understand the power of compounding, and compounding happens over a period of time.
Right.
So any opportunity you might come across on a lot of options where people say you can get your money doubled in a year's time. Please don't get carried away. That's why I said patience, because patience is directly linked to your compounding.
Right.
And the second most important thing which I said is about understanding the risk of what you're investing, where you're investing into, and discipline. So making money needs a lot of discipline.
No, I sort of agree, and it's also something that I've heard my father speak about all the time, is that there's no free lunch, there's no shortcut. Earning money might, in hindsight, and that's what he says. I think he says everyone should earn money and a little bit of success to understand that earning it is one part of the journey, but maintaining it, making sure you can, like do the financial planning, making sure you don't spend it before you can save it is far more important than the earning process. So I think understanding, for everyone watching, understanding financial planning is so important. And it's something that, like you said, there's so many, on social media especially, but now there's so much information in terms of how you can make money fast overnight. You give me $1, I will give you 20 back. And these are all hoaxes that I feel like, do not fall for it. Nobody fall for it. It's like you said, it requires discipline, patience. So
and proper guidance too. Correct.
And proper guidance. Most importantly, proper guidance. That's great tips. I think those are great tips. And I think these are wonderful sort of initiators for all of us to try and understand whether it's wealth management, financial planning, or like we said, if you're an entrepreneur or you want to start a business. Is there anything else that I'm missing out that you'd like to share in terms of anything related to wealth planning, sustainability, that's possibly like a common trait that you've seen that you think needs to change, or something that's a new trend that's happening right now that you think people should be focusing on or not focus on?
Yeah, so new trends, yes, there are a lot of options that is coming up into India. So a lot of technology, a lot of disruptions happening at the startup space.
Right.
So, but as we speak, the startup space is not open on the listed side. So it's more on the unlisted space, where because of the higher risk which is associated with it, it is classified under the alternate investment option, where the regulator has ensured that to protect the interest of investors, they've kept the entry barrier at around 1 crore and above. So, but I think slowly, I think when markets evolve, these opportunities would be available for larger audience also. So that is one space where I see a lot of action happening in terms of technology coming in, deep tech, startups, and all of that. That's one space. And second place where I think ESG and sustainability has become a golden mantra now in investing. So I think going forward, ESG compliant funds would have their place, will have a major portion or prominence in the investor's portfolio. These are the two trends I think which we should definitely follow and probably build upon.
Okay, I think this was the most simplest way to understand and for you to explain financial planning and investments for everyone that's watching, no matter what age bracket you fall under. Hopefully, all of you were inspired by this episode and enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much, Mr. Raga, for joining us.
Thanks, Shruti.
Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode.